What's up, Raiders? Bionic here. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Super excited. Today I've got for you guys another Faction Wars completed on my free-to-play account. I want to go over the run, the champions, their gear, and sort of how all of this ties in together with the gear that I've been reusing, right? I did a video on this, sort of like Faction Wars Simplified, so this is going to be yet again a little bit of a follow-up to this one. So which one did I complete recently? It is actually one that was quite behind. I managed to complete Sacred Order. I had 3 stages to do, and I finally got it to work. It was an RNG galore, but you know what? It worked. I'm quite happy it did. I probably cannot even auto stage 20, probably not even stage 18 at this point, but still, the point is, it is done. So let's go over this run real quick, although there is a couple of things to explain, okay? Because it's so like RNG dependent, sort of like with the Relentless pieces on my Lightsworn, Relentless set on my Armiger, we've got a stun set on the Athel, we have a lifesteal set on the Phenax because he just kept dying, he's so weak, and then we have just the regular lifesteal set for my clan boss and solo minotaur on my martyr. Okay, so the first wave is really not that bad. I would occasionally fail here as well because of this guy, Torture Helm. He can literally one-shot the Phenax, so you got to be careful. So it was always about just kind of trying to control the turn meters with the A1s from Lightsworn and the A1 from Armiger. Both of them being relatively fast, over 200 speed. I'll show you guys the gear. So, but I tend to go for the Broadma first because this guy can revive and put a block damage. Also, the Athel does need to land a couple of stuns, okay? It was very, like I said, RNG dependent because this stun set, there was only one in the team so far. I would have liked to put the Martyr in a stun set, but she also kept taking a lot of damage, which means I still needed some kind of like heal from all this, and without an actual healer on this team, which I could have used a Mother Superior, I had prepared one, but I thought I'd give it a shot with the Athel, just straight like this, Athel in a stun set, and it probably took me, not kidding, probably close to 30 tries before I actually made it to the boss and everything lined up. So anyway, as you see here, we're slowly but surely controlling the champions using the Phenax, which is our only damage dealer, to kill the mobs. So if we move to the second wave, you'll see that it's somewhat the same thing, but you do need some of those stuns from the Athel to land. If they don't, it's a little bit too much damage on the Martyr, and she ends up dying. The skill order, I also tried a few different things, sort of like when to put the revive on death from the Lightsworn, and you'll also see that I got really lucky because this guy has the new accessories to prevent the cooldown of the skills, which means at some point I actually got this to like proc 2 times his revive on death, right? And so it helped quite a bit. It also helps for the boss himself. I would have loved to have like a dedicated reviver in here, or like I said, a healer, but all I had was a Lightsworn built for my previous clan boss teams, so I kind of just used that to my advantage, right? On this wave, I try to kill the Steel Skull and the Man-Eater first, although you do still want to control the other guys because they can deal a lot of damage. And without a heal, my Relentless Armiger is not that tough, okay? He's just fast, right? So if he takes too many hits, which you will see he does, and he comes very close to dying, okay? But it's apparently just enough for me to get by because, like, I'm not gonna get back to past 50% health. I do have the mastery that's helping me heal a tiny little bit, the Life Drinker mastery, but it's not enough, okay? It is just not enough, so you had to be really, really careful. And so the only thing that was there to kind of save me was that increased defense and revive on death from the Lightsworn. So here we see that I don't always get a stun from Athel. It's actually very rare, but like I would say if you don't get a couple stuns throughout the run with the Athel, chances are this is not going to work. You could use a different champion for a stun set here, but I had an Athel built for, you know, a starter champion, okay? So second wave went relatively well as well, right there. See, we died, but we had that revive on death, so that saved us. It's not easy to time it perfectly, but it does come in handy, all right? It's also a little bit hard to use because a Relentless Armiger means he's going to burn through those buffs as he keeps taking turns, if he does, okay? So anyway, kept trying, probably only made it to the boss like 20% of the time, 15% of the time, right? And then the boss fight was just as complicated, and on this run, for whatever reason, I got extremely lucky as well. Look at the HP of my Armiger and Lightsworn coming into here, even my Ethel, right? So I don't have a lot of HP, I'm protecting myself with the increased defense and revive on death. I am going to take a couple of hits from this boss. I am going to be very lucky and not get crits from him, apparently. So I'm able to survive. Like right there, we take a decent little hit from that, what is it, Zargala, I think. And with the counter attack, it is helping out tremendously. I'm not gonna lie, a martyr in here is huge, right? But you don't necessarily need one. Still, you know, I made it work with that one. I think the other guy that we saw in the Reddit post, he has like a Mother Superior and a Aothar in here, right? But still. So right now, we got control on one of the adds, which is really important, because if these guys join in for the allies join attack, this is going to deal too much damage for your team, and you are most likely going to wipe. So here again, the stun from Ethel needs to land, okay? So that is very unlikely, but every now and then it does happen. It would be great if it happened on both of them, but it doesn't always do so. So, of course, here I also try to control their turn meter, reduce it as much as possible. You do want to try and kill them and block the revive with the Phenax. So the Phenax in here is actually quite useful in that sense. Provoke also doesn't do much because I think they have AoE A1s, right? So it's more about a stun. The Provoke from Martyr is great for the waves, but for this part right here, it's all about the stun, okay? So bring more stun if you can, but like turn meter control like this right here with the Armiger is actually really, really solid as well. Then at some point, I do end up killing the adds, and look how low health I am, okay? But all I need to do is to keep control of the adds and the boss. So like I'm sort of going between reducing the turn meter on the boss and the adds, hoping for a stun with the Ethel on one of the adds if I can. Like right there, I go for a turn meter reduction, doesn't quite work. See, we take a hit there and we got really lucky, did not hit the Ethel or the Armiger. That is huge, right? The RNG at this point is just insane, but it works. So we kill one, we take a hit right here from the boss, a small hit because he has decreased attack. We don't die, we're still super low health, and then we get to work on the boss and the final add. At this point, it's all about just Armiger and Lightsworn using their A1s on the boss to prevent him from ever taking a turn again, okay? So these two combined together are actually really, really solid for this. Again, in a relentless set, both of them above 200 speed. And I think at this point it's relatively easy. I'm gonna let this go a little bit more to show you guys. Hoping for a stun here, didn't get it. That's all right. Then here we want to reduce the turn meter of this Zargala again, because if she goes, she's gonna kill some of my champions here. We finally get to kill her with the block revive. Then we protect ourselves with the revive on death, right? Because this boss, if he takes a turn, you know, we're going to take a little bit too much damage, which he ends up doing, if I'm not mistaken. I go for counterattack. Obviously, at this point, you want more of those A1s to hit the boss so that you can keep reducing the turn meter. And then that's it. At this point, it's in the bag, right? I just got to keep going with those A1s from Armiger and Lightsworn, and then we keep going. We do get a couple extra turns from the Relentless set. It comes very close towards the end of the boss actually taking a turn, because we never fully deplete the turn meter, right? But it's always inching up a little bit more. And then at some point, I think we're good, and we come in for the last hit with probably the Phenax. Right there. That's it. Full turn meter, boom, finishes with the Armiger. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This was crazy. I can't believe I got it to work. So it's done. I'm just super happy. It is done. Anyway, all that being said, let's go over these champions real quick. We're gonna do so Sacred Order. We've got my Martyr as is. I did a full build video on this champion. She is maxed out. She is in lifesteal. It's for the clan boss, and it's also for solo Minotaur 15. Okay, so we got 173 speed, 4.4k attack. We've got 88% crit rate, 207 crit damage because I am using crit damage gloves, a crit damage amulet. Okay, so that's how I get a little bit more damage out of my champions in the clan boss. All of her skills are done. This is an S tier champion, so I do use my books on that. And then for the masteries, we have a typical counterattack War Master build, which is also very helpful for faction wars. The next one is a Lightsworn, which was originally built for a clan boss build as well, because this guy was my decreased attack champion. It's not an A1, but it was pretty decent with him plus Bulwark. So for a while, this is what I use. So it's the same thing, we got counterattack here, but we go for Giant Slayer because this guy has a triple hit A1. which is maxed out, by the way. We do have decreased attack, decreased speed on the A2. I didn't find myself using this too much, right? Also, his accuracy is a little bit low. It wasn't always landing, but what I really wanted from this guy was more of this, more of the increased defense and revive on death, okay? I suppose I could have put these accessories on the Martyr for maybe a couple more AoE provokes, but I felt like this was going to save me perhaps a little bit more against the boss fight. And it did trigger like once or twice in that run, if I remember correctly. But this is like defense, flat defense. We have crit damage. It's 4-star, but all I wanted was the 5% chance to prevent skill cooldown. And then we do have an accuracy banner here, which has speed on it. And we got a maximum roll on it. This is pretty nice. I'm going to reuse this elsewhere. So this guy, I would say, has a relentless / nuke, in the sense that I tried to build it somewhat offensive at the same time with some crit damage gloves. It's not maxed out. All we really wanted here was more speed, so we have 6-star speed boots. No speed on the chest, but that's alright. We have a decent amount of speed on the shield, some speed on the helm, and we do have some speed on the weapon as well, giving him some respectable stats. But again, Giant Slayer is what's doing all the damage. Accuracy is a little bit low. We'd want this to be closer to 220, but it worked out. That's all right. We're happy with it. Phenax, I dropped the like 6 pieces of Cruel. I went with Lifesteal and Cruel because, again, this guy was just a little bit too weak. I had to get this guy to heal himself. This gear was shuffled around. This was previously on a different champion. We have a nice chest. 6-star attack percent with some crit rate. We also have crit damage gloves with some decent amount of crit rate. 6-star crit damage amulet. We have attack banner, which is not maxed out for the time being. So overall, I'd say this is probably my best offensive lifesteal set that I've been using for all of Faction Wars so far, and I'll show you guys the spreadsheet in a second. This guy has all of his skills maxed out, and then here's the masteries for this guy. Okay, so no War Master. I decided to go with Helm Smasher because I would also use him, let's say, in the arena, and it was working out just fine. I was dealing a good amount of damage with these stats. His A1 is insane, so I kind of got away without needing to respec this guy entirely, okay? Relatively slow, though. 159 speed, probably a little bit too slow. You'd want this to be closer to 200 if you can as well, but then it's not easy. Going offensive stats, 4.4k attack, and low speed is usually what you're going to end up with, right? Accuracy is way too low as well, so we didn't get a lot of this to land. But again, he was not my crowd control champion. Anyway, then we have Ethel, my good old Ethel that I started with. That's not true. I started with Elaine, and then I got Ethel shortly after. I have been using her in the past for certain things, but then she just kind of like, you know, went in the vault for a while. So she has one of these stun sets or pieces of the other stun sets I've been using for the rest of the Faction Wars content, but it's a mix of both. It was supposed to be a stun set with offensive stats so that I would get some damage out of her, but I just wanted her to survive. So I kind of went with just speed wherever I could. Maybe some offensive stats here a little bit, right? It's a good shield overall, but I have like flat defense gloves. These were on my Bellower before because it has a good amount of speed. We have an HP percent chest with a good amount of speed. We have 6-star boots. Again, just trying to get a lot of speed, okay? So 230. This will increase your chance of placing stuns. And as for the rest of the stuff here, we have HP, crit damage, and attack apparently. So I could have maybe optimized this, but it was more about the speed. At this point, all her skills are obviously done. And then for the masteries, here's what I switched to last minute. I went with Giant Slayer because she was with Helm Smasher or Flawless Execution. Last time I used her for a build, it was for like a speed farmer. And instead of doing that, I just went for something that would perhaps give me a little bit more damage and some counterattack. Again, I just wanted to get some counterattack to hopefully land a couple more stuns. Even Harvest Despair here to give me possibly a leech so that I could heal myself. It didn't really happen, to be honest, but I thought it'd be a nice little extra, okay? And finally, the Armiger, almost done, guys. Full speed. Full speed Relentless set, probably my fastest Relentless set on my account right now. We have speed on the weapon, we have speed on the helm, a lot of speed on this shield. This I rolled like yesterday, right? Right before I started trying this out. I literally went through the artifact enhancement event and worked on only Relentless and stun gear to improve my Faction Wars team. We've got decent boots, we've got a 6-star defense percent chest with some speed. We have crit rate gloves. Obviously, this guy needs to have close to 100% crit rate. And then for the rest, accuracy, crit damage, defense, okay? Overall stats, not that great, okay? But fast. That's all I wanted here again. Fast and close to 100% crit rate, 260 Accuracy is pretty good. All the skills are maxed out, obviously. And then here are the masteries, kind of the same thing here. Most of the fight though, I rarely used Lay to Rest. He was not there to kill enemies and to prevent the revive. It was Phenax. That was Phenax's job, so it's literally all about just him using his A1 as often as possible, okay? So quickly onto the spreadsheet, which again has changed a little bit. So today we did, or yesterday we did the Sacred Order with Phenax and my so-called Lifesteal Cruel set. Then we had Martyr, which was in a lifesteal set, not a shield or speed. We had our stun slash nuke Athel, then we had a Relentless Lightsworn and a Relentless Armiger for this one, okay? So again, kind of like the same concepts being reused. As for the gear right here, okay, the stun slash speed set is now for my Bellower, Senacia number 2 for Night Rev, and now Athel. That is how I managed to use it. For the Relentless Nuke defense, this was my Lightsworn Relentless Speed, so this one is a little bit faster, so I now have 3 Relentless sets that I'm using overall. I'm gonna fill this out eventually. This one was for the Armiger, and that is how I got it to work, okay? So, guys, relatively long, but again, I felt like I wanted to tie everything together for you guys so that you understand how I am moving gear around, reusing these same sets so that I can make this a little bit easier. Finally, let me quickly talk about the Great Hall because it does affect my stats overall, okay? So I can probably get away with crappier gear because my Great Hall is more advanced. This might not necessarily work for you guys, sorry, because again, if you're a little bit more earlier in the game, well, you know, you might not have, you know, the right amount of stats. So here I am, guys, with 790 stars. I am literally on the last stretch to get to Lydia, okay? And I now have one more of Faction Wars that's struggling a little bit. It is Demon Spawn Crypt, so stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe for the rest of my progress. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.